Hi, friends. Welcome to Overcome with Joe Shiro. I am your host, Joe Shiro. This show will be navigating through the trials, triumphs, and power of musical theater. We are talking to musical theater performers who have made their dreams come true of being on Broadway, in their dream show, on national tours, all of it, as they've climbed the mountain to reach their biggest dreams. And believe me, it is a hell of a climb. We are all human beings here. We all suffer heartbreak, love, joy, magic, sadness, setbacks, trauma, frustration in some way, shape, or form. We talk about staying on your path and dreams despite life's obstacles. I hope this helps you on your way up your mountain. Let's get started. Today, I'm speaking to the fabulous Brit West. You may have seen her as a Fate and a Persephone cover in the Hadestown, Broadway, and national touring companies. Her Broadway debut was in the 2015 revival of The Color Purple, as well as the Frozen National Tour, and you may have seen her descending from the theater heavens as a diva in the Priscilla Queen of the Desert National Tour. We talk about being human, self-care, her life out on the road, and living her life on top in Hadestown.
Got it.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome
Hello,
to the show.
friends. Thank you.
So you could see Britt currently living her life, living it up on top in
Yes.
the Fates in Hadestown Mama in its fifth
Yes.
year, just
We
celebrated 5 years on the Broadway.
yes, we did on the Broadway. Very exciting times. I think I'm maybe like 14 or 15 months into my Broadway contract. I just got a renewal. And then I did maybe 4 months on the road as like an interim Persephone covering someone's leave of absence. So yeah, I was like, this is the new family. We're going strong. Just cycling in new talent every couple of months. Right now, we're rocking really hard and feeling very settled with like Ani DeFranco and Issa and John Briones, and I think we get like a whole new crop of people in at the end of June. So we're all very excited. It's like it's a reason to keep seeing it again and again and again and again. You know,
And it's so good. I have to go see Jordan Fisher because when
you
I was
do.
I do. I got to get over there and I got to see you. I got to.
Yes.
My dream is to see you and Emily Afton living it up as the
Oh,
diva.
yes. Oh
But
my God, the reunion. I was like, Emily Afton is currently killing it as a worker in the ensemble, covering all three fates, holding all three harmonies in that brain and all of the instruments. I don't know how she does it. She is
I
like a living legend, an icon. But yeah, we were on tour together. What was it? Ooh, 12, 13 years ago. Don't age me. But yeah, soprano diva and alto diva. And she actually goes on for soprano fate a lot. So it's like the perfect blend. It's like a blend you know and love.
the vocals. We love that vocal tea, honey.
We love a vocal tea. Yeah. And it's
Um,
just good to be back at a show with your friend. It's nice to see that we're both still out here doing the thing and making the art, especially for like a show we all like know and love and like really believe in. So
and the reason why it's so exciting to me because I'm going to tell the viewers I am a huge Priscilla Queen of the Desert fan, and
hey.
that show just means so much to me. I literally remember being in high school because I didn't get to see the tour, but like when the tour was going out, I was like, oh my god, who are all these people? They're so like so cool. They're playing the diva, like all the new people coming into
The
that show.
new faces,
New
yes.
faces,
I was
yeah.
like I was like, we still have, like, a group chat that's been going, like, over a decade strong with, like, so many of my friends. I was like, I me and Emily and Andrew Chappelle was on that tour. His original company, Hamilton, was one of the swings and is now back on Broadway in & Juliet. We just had, like, lunch the other day at Mermaid Inn, and, like, our friend Travis is in Wicked, and Wade was the lead of the tour. He played Tick. Yeah, that's the lead's name, right? Tick.
Yeah,
He
kick it.
played Tick. Yes, he played Tick, and now he's playing Wade in Water for Elephants on Broadway. And I was like, "How did you get a role that is the same name as yours?" I don't know. But me and Emily were actually like thinking about putting together a little group to going to see that, and support the show and all their glory and all their nominations and excitement and things. So just Priscilla family forever.
Always, especially in 2012, 2013, the country was still, we're so in such a different place now than we were
Really,
then,
truly.
especially telling a story of queer love and just queer family and friends, around the country, like especially like we'll get into your life story, but we'll get Priscilla out of the way.
Yeah.
Just tell me what that was like, the audition process, how you heard of it, like did you see it on
I
Broadway?
I did not see it on Broadway. I had seen the film like back in the day, just like when you're watching your like queer culture cult classics. It's like, those of us who had already seen Priscilla, but those of us who had already seen Kinky Boots before Kinky Boots became a musical. Um, and like I was like, okay, cool. So I am familiar with this material. I was actually coming out of my second tour. I had done the closing non-union tour of Legally Blonde the musical. I was playing Pilar, and I submitted from the end of my tour with Legally Blonde. I submitted to Telsey for Bring It On the musical, and they called me in. I had some callbacks. I met the team. I met with Alex and Rachel and Lynn and everybody. But at that point, they were only looking for like swings and like hardcore dancers. And I remember there was like a backhand spring into like a standing back tuck and a toe touch. And I was like, am I supposed to try and do this? God, I hope not, because I can't. And so then kind of Rachel Hoffman at Telsey just kind of kept cycling me through um like just opportunities. I was in for like Jekyll and Hyde, I was in for the off Broadway Rent, and then Priscilla came up, and I was like, okay, well, I at least know the film. I don't know what this diva character is because it's not a part of the film. And she was like, it's just disco music. You are the soundtrack, and I was like, great. I was like the closing server at the meatball shop in Williamsburg at the time. I worked until like 5 a.m on my final callback day, then went home to Bushwick, switched into something sparkly, and went back to Telsey. And I was there from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. that next day. And they put us on tape for all of the London creative team. And I think I maybe had like only 3 auditions, maybe, but that last day was a very long day. And they kind of mixed and matched us together. And the rest is history, baby.
Other potential divas to see
um,
how these would sound?
Yeah, there was like it was like a room of maybe 15 women, and we were like their final choices of divas. And I got matched with Emily Afton and Brene Jackson. Brene Jackson is also still in Broadway. She's a swing, I believe, or standby over at MJ the Musical. Um, and it was me, and I was matched with them. And then there was another gal named Aurelia that was matched with them. And I was like, whew, I think it's between me and Aurelia. And I was right. But like I slid in there and I got it. And I was like, and then after that, it was just like harmonies and learning arm choreography standing on a chair in the back of the room. And the funny thing was, like, we didn't even learn to fly until tech rehearsal when we finally got to Schenectady. So I was like, oh, wow. Am I going to be able to do this? This is really high up. I know I've spent 4 weeks in rehearsal learning all this choreography and these harmonies, but the height factor, I don't think I considered it really
And then
until
you
I
rise
got into the
above the
theater.
stage, and you rise
Yes,
all the way above.
we go all the way past the lights because of the train on the dress. So we go all the way up and past the lights. We sit up there and cook basically with the lights and the and the stage drops and everything. And
She's
just
marinating, she's simmering up there before
yes,
she gives you those
Mar-
vocals.
simmering. Yes, the vocals were simmering. And just kind of holding hands to steady each other so we're not like flapping in the breeze. It
What
was
was the
like it's something I've
sorry,
never experienced before. No, it's something I've never experienced before in my entire life. Like probably one of the best entrances I've ever made in my life. Like dropping down from the heavens of a theater in front of a sequin flitter curtain Sydney Bridge, and then the boys come bursting out through the flitter curtain. I was like, I don't know if it gets better than this.
truly, I'll never forget watching that for the first time and just, like, I knew I was gay from the second, like, this is what I want my life to be. This is exactly
Every day. Yes.
just that entire moment. But what was it like rising up for the first time and, like
Oh, I was terrified. Oh, I was terrified. I was really scared. I think Emily was very zen, but still had a lot of fear in her heart. And Bree was she seemed fearless. They were like, okay, ladies, try and move your arms, try and like do some choreography. And Bree was going for it. And I was just like, I don't think so. I think I was like, I'm just gonna stay up here. I was like, can we come down now? They were like, no, we need to hold you up there for a little bit longer. We're trying to set some lights. And I went home and I called my parents and I was like, I think I need to quit my job. I'm scared. I was like, I don't think I realized what I was getting myself into. But we had a great support system. We mostly were each other's support system, and Emily and I became fast friends, and we could be there for one another. It just and because you just have to kind of surrender and know that and trust in the crew that they got you. They're testing it, but it's scary to think that this flight system is being traveled to every different city that you go to, and then set up. But then you learn the mechanics of it, and they're like, you'll never fall. You just might stall out and we have to come get you with a cherry picker, but you'll never fall. So I was like, okay, good. Okay, good. I could trust in that. And then after that, you just bask in the glory.
And just living it, baby. No, that
Yeah.
sounds so, especially it's been traveled around every week or every
Yeah.
month, just how, you just have to trust. And that's a hard thing, especially if you're flying, you have to really give yourself, and you're up so high. It's not even oh, you're just a couple feet off the ground. No, your whole body is suspended in the air.
Oh yeah. It's definitely not like a it'll kill you moment, but you'll break every bone in your body for sure.
Dead for Priscilla, dying for Priscilla.
Yes, dying for Priscilla.
Oh my gosh. But now, all the three divas are back on Broadway. Truly.
Yes.
In that show, you're doing harmonies backstage. You are doing quick changes.
Yes.
Glitter lip everywhere.
Glitter
What
lip
was the
everywhere.
so when you were learning all that and then when you got into your groove?
I
When you
think
got into your groove thing.
well, once we got into the groove thing, it was actually really fun. And I was like, even I'll go back to this group chat that we have. It's me, Travis Tabor, Nick Alexander, Andrew Chappelle, Alex DeLeo, Chelsea Zeno, and Emily Afton. And we have been in each other's lives since then, just little tidbits, following each other around the country, going to each other's weddings, popping to the cabin upstate. Andrew traveled from wherever he was to pick me to see Frozen in LA and take me to Thanksgiving with his aunt and uncle out by the water. And I was like, we've always just stayed in each other's lives. And I think that started backstage. Once we were in the groove of it and wearing these monstrous costumes, because that's the thing, you can't really leave the deck because the costumes are so massive and so extensive. We're all just lined up at the back of the stage, just hanging out with each other. And it just really set up a lovely family camaraderie. And you can't help but have fun. We did a long stint in Vegas, and it was just glitter lips and glitter poops everywhere. I was like, what would they always say? Oh, you're going to be pooping glitter for a year because you're just eating glitter. And I was like, okay, sure. Yeah, whatever. And then you go out afterwards and have the time of your life and come back and do it again. We were all so young. I was like, everyone was in their young 20s, just really thriving. I was like, it was my third tour. It was a lot of people's first tour. So you're really trying to get out there and do the thing, and make the memories.
And
I think it showed.
what did you learn your self-care wise? Because self-care wasn't really a huge topic like it is now, and especially in the perform, but even with vocal care and all that, but it's more than that. It's your mental health, and especially when you're traveling each week. How did that, and you as an artist,
Right.
learn at that time in 2012, 2013? Did anything stick out to you, or stuff you had to learn?
I remember actually my friend Nick used to make fun of me all the time because I would get noise complaints in the hotels because I was a consistent vocal warm-up girl. I would warm up before every show. And that's just, from where I'm coming from with my upbringing and, being raised with competitive choir and regional and state competitions. And, I'm from Texas. We're very competitive in Texas. I have a Letterman jacket in choir and theater. Okay. You don't mess with Texas. That's what they always say.
I got a varsity choir letter too. I still have it.
Yes, period. Mine's in this closet right here in Washington Heights. And I remember Nick was always like, "You're always getting noise complaints. You're warming up. This is the easiest musical theater show ever." I was like, "Listen, my vocal, my vocal will always be intact. I always want it to be pristine. It's an embarrassment to me and also to y'all, to the whole entirety of the show." if like Diva 3 singing It's Raining Men and I Will Survive and taking a lead on the majority of the songs, like, can you imagine if I'm up there cracking or if it's not together? No one is paying to hear that. I was like, you have to take pride in your work and then therefore be prepared. So for me, it was always about hydration, the vocal warm up, and getting enough rest. I mean, we probably did not get enough rest because I think I was 23 years old, maybe 24. And so we were definitely pushing the limits on that. But I always consistently did the vocal warm up. And you're right about as far as taking care of yourself mentally. I think our friendship group did that a lot for us at the time, but that was my third tour. So I was already very accustomed to touring, and I've done 7 tours in the last decade. So I was like, I am a very self-sustaining individual when it comes to performance. Like, I don't need a huge community. I don't need a huge support system. I am someone who can really just like rely on myself, which I think is important. But also, it's nice to be able to like have the opportunity to lean on your community, but that's not always available. So I think what I have learned throughout this past decade is definitely like self-sufficiency. It's like if like I am in control of my single self, because like I can't be in control of all things in the world or all things in the show, but I know what I can control is myself. And so that's why the vocal warm up, that's why all the preparation or the rest, you're just doing whatever I need personally.
I can't control anyone else because there's such chaos out
Yes,
in the
so much
streets.
chaos.
So much chaos, and we love the good chaos, but not chaotic chaos. So
Right.
let's
And I can say, like, touring over the past couple of years has changed significantly. Our country has changed a lot. Like I remember going back, like I was on the Frozen tour pre-pandemic for about 5 months, and we were one of the first shows that Disney sent back out in August of 2021, and the country was not the same, and I did not feel safe touring in a lot of these cities. And I remember expressing that to my representation. I was like, we need to be auditioning to bring me back to New York. Like something has shifted. There's been a shift. And I need to go back to a safe zone because it's not like I don't feel free to roam about the cabin anymore.
no, exactly, and I'm so sorry that, like,
Yeah, it was tragic. It's like,
like, just know I'm here for you. It's so scary
thank you,
out here,
friend.
especially being, a person of color, LGBTQ, and
Yeah,
queer.
being any minority at all right now is terrifying. And so and I even have like a lot of friends that are still out on tour who are like still experiencing this. I'm just like the only solution can't be just only do work in New York City. Like, baby, Broadway is barely recovering. I mean, I know we had a monumentous like amount of openings this season, but like we have not recovered. We still need to be able to tour. So I like hopefully we could see some shifts and some change coming, but we're still not doing so great. Just the world in general, just not doing so great.
No, no, truly, and that's what makes me feel better is knowing that there's community. I know there's people that we all have each other's backs in this
Yeah.
theater community. Like so it's we'll never be. No one's ever going to be alone in this. But still, like when you have to leave the theater at night and go to your Airbnb or hotel, it's like I gotta try to make it home and be okay.
Right. And
Uh,
yeah, and I've had some people had some incidences on the road, but I definitely think a lot of the touring and production companies have stepped up their security. And but I mean, like even here in New York, they've stepped up their security. Like the amount of like police officers, the security, just like in a certain like 2 block radius around our theaters. Like like everyone is doing their best, and I fully believe that. But it's also just like even scary that we even have to step it up in this way.
Yeah. Yeah, what have you noticed, like, also from touring then? Did you still I mean, because also with technology, like taking Ubers or Lyfts,
Oh yeah.
that's such a huge help, and
Yeah, when I was doing Priscilla, Uber and Lyft did not exist yet. So it would always be like, we're going out, be in the lobby at this time, because we would have to call a car service or call like a city cab in like the middle of Minneapolis to come, like the ones people like businessmen would take to the airport in the 90s, you know, to come and pick us up and like take us out to the bars and clubs or whatever. Or if you wanted to order food, you have to like call the front desk and be like, what are the restaurants around here that deliver? And they'll come, you'll go downstairs and get like paper menus and then call them on the hotel phone.
This was only
And
10 years ago. It wasn't even that long ago
it
either.
was not that long ago. But I
Um,
remember when I was on the Frozen tour, one of the kids who had just, this is their first tour, and they were like, "How did you tour before Uber and before Uber Eats?" And I was like, it was slim pickings. I remember when my tour before Priscilla was Legally Blonde, and I was trying to be vegan at the time because we were all being very, very skinny. And I would often eat like steam in a bag of vegetables, a can of beans, and a jar of salsa and call that dinner because there were no vegan options anywhere in the entire city of Eugene, Oregon that we happen to land in. I mean, Eugene had a lot of vegan options, but like just in general, like it'd be like tiny towns like that. Be like, where am I? What am I gonna eat? Or it's like, oh, we're stopping at this like rest stop so everyone can pee because we're on a bus. Feel free to get food. And I'm like, okay, there's only like a McDonald's here. I can't eat that. And so I'd just be like loading up on baby food because baby food is just mostly fruits and vegetables, like blended
Brit West
together.
and Gerber, sponsored by Gerber.
Yes,
Welcome.
Brit West, sponsored by Gerber, vegan before vegan existed.
I love that. I'll never look at baby food the same. Well, that was the thing a lot with, especially in like, we're living in New Jersey at the time, not a lot of vegan options either, like just like French
No.
fries. That would be the thing.
Yep.
Okay, you want just get fries, and that's not that sustainable either,
Nope.
depending cooked with other, if you have to be really specific, if it's cooked with other meats and
Right.
you contaminate all that.
Is there butter? Is there butter in this?
And there's a lot of food deserts, like in
Yep.
small towns in Nevada. Like I went to this small little town called Pahrump. It's an hour outside of Vegas, and it's literally
Okay.
random as hell. McDonald's, like Carl's Jr., like nothing good. And you have to go to the supermarket to try to get something at least decently like healthy.
Absolutely. But then who has a kitchen in their hotel room?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. It's just a bed and a little coffee maker and a Bible in the drawer. That's all you
Right.
get.
And a Bible in the drawer. Now, I mean, and they also have what is the Latter-day Saints and like scriptures in the drawer as well. I'll be like, okay, well, in this coffee pot, I'm about to make some oatmeal.
Oh my
Um,
God.
get into it.
Oh my gosh. Well, you've learned a lot on the road. My gosh.
It's like camping, yeah.
It's like
Camping indoors.
musical theater camping. Oh my, but also the strength it gives you. And I'm a huge traveler. I love solo traveling. So I've learned so much being on the road, like by myself. And you just have to figure it out. And it's makes you very self-reliant and independent, but still like sometimes it can be pretty lonely and like, depending on yourself all the time, you need that connection.
Yeah.
Um,
I was like, but I mean, I've been on tours that I had like a Priscilla where I made actual family. I've also been on other tours where I did not make any friends at all. And I spent 6 months really alone until I went on to the next job. Um, some tours you just like start out great and then it just goes sideways, or then you get, or I've been on a tour where then you get injured and you're like, can I be away from the show and then come back to it? And what's that going to be like? And what kind of strength and stamina does that take physically and mentally? Like, it's just, and like, I think it's all about the fact that we're going to be doing this for our entire lives. So so we hope we can't let just like one little thing stunt us. We have to keep pushing forward.
and thinking long term and like always taking care of yourself, because
Hmm.
feel like it's becoming more, not many people have talked about getting vocal injuries or injuries. It's this kind of like and it's obviously also no one's business who's injured. It's a very personal, private matter. Yes.
Right.
Well, and it's also comforting to hear other people talk about their stories from vocal injuries and like coming back from it.
Right. It
Thrive.
is.
It's
It's
possible.
very it's strange because I know there was definitely a time when like nobody really talked about it. But I definitely feel like we're in the age of talking about your shit. Like like this is what I've been through, putting it out there, relating to others. I definitely came up in my 20s in the era of like jewel tone dresses and like T-strap laducas and like boys in vests and a dress pant. And I'm happy to see the jewel tone dresses retired for sure. And humans just being humans. And I feel like we just communicate with each other more. I was like, I've had physical injuries. I've had a vocal injury at one point when I like due to air pollution in Korea while trying to sing Effie in the middle of air. I was trying to sing like Effie on 3 different rounds of severe bronchitis that I just could not kick because of the air pollution. And the producers at the time did not really warn us about that being an issue over there. So we weren't masking up. We weren't doing any of those things. We weren't told to do those things. We didn't know what was going on. But then a bunch of us just kept ending up in the hospital. So I was like, things happen. And then when I was dancing in Frozen, like Frozen is a huge dance show. And I was like, injury happens, especially post pandemic when, we were all trying to come back after being off for 17 months. And I was like, and then how do you keep moving through that? Because I think we all think when we're young that any sort of injury that's the end of your career, and you're done and they're gonna replace you. I was like, but as we get older, we realize like, oh no, you move through them, you do physical therapy, you get the surgery if you need to, whatever. And yeah, you get better and you come back to work, or you take the time off that you need and then move on to the next show once you're ready to start like back at the thing again. But like if we're going to be doing this for the rest of our life, it's like one injury is not going to end it all. And I think that is like something we all kind of need to be reminded of. I also have a lot of friends that have had such like severe things happen injury wise, or like they've had long bouts of COVID, like where people are having like super extended COVID and it was affecting them in very strange ways that like they won't risk it. They're like, if I feel crazy, I am out. And I think that has like post pandemic, a lot of people have been able to define like new kind of settings for themselves as far as calling out. And every show, I think every show is like takes it a different way. I think mostly everybody gives grace like post pandemic because we're all going through so many things and it's not always just physical illness or injury. It could be like mental health and all these other kinds of things. And for the first time, I think ever in the theater community, it's like, oh, I have something going on in my life and I can't be at work. And then that is now something that you can actually say. Um, in the workplace. Like I'm taking a day for mental health, which I don't think was something that we were able to speak about before. We didn't have as many resources. There's therapy sessions available to us through the entertainment fund and through our union, and often through your show and your insurance. There's just like a lot more support that I really have seen emerge post pandemic that has been it just seems like, oh God, they're finally treating us like humans. And so I think that's something everyone has to navigate for themselves. I also think it was really hard coming back to work after being off for 17 months. Going back to doing 8 shows a week plus rehearsals plus press is not easy on your body, on your family life, on your mental state. And so I think, again, we're all just doing the best we can. And we're no longer really trying to hold the community to like the kind of ridiculous like robot standards, big machine standards that were in place before. I know what I do. If I need to take the day off, I take the day off. But I'm a single income household. So I don't like to miss more than my allotted sick days. And of course, like, those sick days stack up if you don't take them or whatever. But like I like to save them for in case I actually do get ill. Um, and yeah, because like mama needs her money. Okay. The rent is due on the first of every month.
And New York City ain't cheap, honey. And these bodegas, I want my bacon and cheese, or I want
Yum. I want my matcha add turmeric and chai, almond milk on ice. Thank you.
or sometimes I want my martini at Glass House sometimes.
Yes. I don't want to be, I don't want to be over here like eating canned soup. Just, it's still capitalist America. Okay. We still have to go to work to make money.
I know. And it's also with theater, it's a complicated thing because we love what we do, but also we live to work.
Yeah.
In theater, basically, we live for our nights, or I love to work to live, and also we're living in theater, so it's the best of both worlds. But
Yeah,
also
for sure.
it's a job, and I'm
And
so glad to talk about that for the younger, especially shows.
yeah, it's still a job, but also at the same time, I was just talking to my friend about this. I was like, because I've done shows that I'm extremely passionate about, and I've also done shows that just like I do because I love to perform and it's a beautiful production, but it's like I've done big corporate things. I've done like small indie things that have then turned big corporate things. And I do think I am at a point in my career where I'm not really just trying to take any kind of project. I have the luxury of being in a show that I really care about. I really love the message. I really love the story that we are telling every night. I love these people. I love the music. I love my show. And I think I'm very, very fortunate to be in a show that I love right now. So that that definitely helps me come to work. It is the highlight of my day. I always say, I get to go to church 8 times a week, the church of Hadestown.
I love that. I love that. So thank you for sharing that. I mean, it's so important for the younger, especially with Hadestown has such a youth fan base, and shows like
Yeah,
but it's important to hear. These shows are so inspiring to younger people, and it makes them want to join the industry. And I think it's important to have people like you and other examples, like, hey, it's okay if you're not feeling well to call out, and do what you need to do. And
right.
path is different, so try not to copy what someone else is doing. You need to do what works for you.
Oh yeah, that and that trend. Actually, I'm glad you bring that up because that there was a time when it was about fitting into a cookie cutter mold. Like every alphabet hits the same arm positions at the wizard and eye. Boom, this is the look. And I was like, but now we're seeing this new development, like with the Hades sound, where we're changing every time a new person comes into the role, everything about that changes. I mean, the same story is there, the same beats are still there, but this person is an individual and they're going to tell it in their own specific way. And I think that is what is most intriguing about when you are returning to the theater to see people do it over and over and over again. You're getting a different story every time because you're seeing a different human do their version versus like a cookie cutter thing. It's all about individuality and bringing your own, like what I call singing your own personal heart song, like every time you go on. So I feel
It's
lucky.
God, you need to be a motivational speaker, please. Why don't we bring you to oh my God, we gotta get you a podium and a microphone just to go. On a two-show day, just in Worldwide Plaza, everyone eating their just salad, and you Brit West at zero at the center.
Brit West on zero, talking over your salad. Let's get into it.
Let's get it. We'll get into your how you got into your growing up and your life in Texas. So curious to hear about your like upbringing and your inspiration into theater and just like your verve for life, baby. Like
Yeah.
what makes Brit West like the happiness for Brit West. So let's talk about your beginning
Yeah.
and just how she got started.
Yeah, my mom put us in commercials like really young, and I booked the local Burger King commercial for Pocahontas when it was first out in movie theaters. And I was seeing like Colors of the Wind in a sunflower field with like these other kids. And then swiftly after that, my agency put me in the husky category. So I stopped booking because it was the 90s and they were terrible and heroin chic was everything. So then I just like was in school and I did like softball and choir and theater, and I had some really great teachers. At Miss Washington and Derek Brookins is my choir director, who just like really kind of propelled me forward. They both happened to be Black, which was lit. I was like, Miss Washington was a theater teacher my sophomore year, and she was encouraging me to audition for the play. And the play was Sylvia, and I booked the role of Sylvia. And that role was originated by Sarah Jessica Parker and in New York. And then Derek Brookins was really pushing me vocally, and I was super competitive, obviously, Letterman jacket and choir and theater. We won second in state, our one act play competition our junior year with the Charles and Me play, and I got some like solo recognition. And then when it's time to go to school, my mom was like, "I think you should do PR. You're great with people." And I was like, "Have you not seen my Letterman jacket? Like
Just
clearly I was
German jacket.
clearly I'm supposed to be doing theater." And she was like, and so I mean, I took her advice and I tried to do a year of regular school, and I was miserable, of course. And then I got mono and it hit my bloodstream and I almost died. So I was like, I think I should just do what I want. And then I did. And I went and auditioned for two conservatories, one in NC Arts, North Carolina School of the Arts, and then SUNY Purchase here in Westchester. I got into both of them with equal scholarships. We went and visited the campuses, and my mom was like, go to the one in New York. You want to be on Broadway, go to the one in New York. And I was like, period. I came. I did not go well. I only stayed maybe a semester in that conservatory, and I finished, and then I started auditioning professionally. And so then I was just kind of like finishing an economics degree and auditioning and working professionally. So like by my senior, I would do like summer stocks, obviously. And then by my senior year, I was in the fall production of Rent. Betsy Morgan, who was the standby for Kim and Kimberly Akimbo for the sister and the mom recently. She was my Maureen. I was Joanne. I was like one of their two non-union hires. Everybody else was like Broadway veterans. And Betsy Morgan built my audition book and made me a mixed CD. I know, throwback. And she was like, "Yeah, you should go on a bunch of tours and stack up some savings before you move into the city." And I really took her advice, so that I went on 7 tours. um, and I actually saw her in PT the other day. I mean, I know Kimberly Akimbo is closing or may have already closed. But I was like, I saw her in PT a few months ago. And it was like so nice to like reconnect. Like, what was that? 2006. So like, well, almost, yeah, a long time ago, almost 20 years ago. Um, and yeah, I've just been kind of like cranking it hard ever since. Like, I started out non-union and going to open calls and showing up super super early with girls with their rolly bags and curling irons, and just very, and definitely kind of being an other in the community, like there, I just, it was very Wonder Bread white at the time, and there wasn't a lot of diversity in a lot of the shows. It was, and if you were going to be a black person in a show, you were always the token. And I was very fortunate to make my Broadway debut in The Color Purple, but The Color Purple was actually the first all black company I'd ever been a part of in my entire life. And that was what, 8 years ago. And yeah, I just kind of been like rolling ever since. I am fortunate that I can do multiple genres. I'm not like kind of confined to one thing, so I definitely think that helps. And constantly like learning and growing and striving to try new things. I think that also helps. I don't know. I'm feeling very long-winded. I might have lost the lost the question at this point, but yeah, that's where I'm coming from.
Oh, love those church ladies always.
We love the church ladies. Alto church lady is basically like an old Southern version of alto fate. So.
When the riot was happening, I was like, I need to know who the church ladies are. That's bread and butter right there. So good.
Yeah, we love a trio. I think I've done what, 4 trio. I was in the trio Legally Blonde. No, and regionally I've done the trios of Hairspray. There's a trio in Hair the Musical. I've done that. The Priscilla trio, the Church Lady trio in Color Purple, the trio in Hadestown. I'm a trio girl. I mean, Dream Girls. Dream Girls is even a trio, isn't it?
Yes. That's the trio.
We love a trio.
Love it. Wow, what an incredible journey, and all the show. I mean, oh my God, you just like blow me away. Color Purple Broadway debut. And that revival was so special. I mean,
it really was. And actually, the first Broadway show I ever saw when I moved to New York in 2006 for school was The Color Purple on Broadway. I saw the original one with Ashant's, and then made my debut like almost 10 years later. And I was like, oh, this feels like Broadway magic, y'all. This is what they were talking about when they talked about Broadway magic. And I was just, being surrounded by, sorry, I'm refilling my Brita. Gotta stay hydrated.
Got my liquid IV with me.
Gotta stay hydrated. And yeah, being on stage with Cynthia before Cynthia was Cynthia. We just saw her at the Met Gala. She's gonna be our new Glinda now, not Glinda, our new Elphaba now, and like just really the star is rising consistently, and it seems to be like a nonstop, never ending. But when she came over here, she was like a non-union nobody from London. I mean, of course she had like London credits, but like nobody in the States knew who this gal was, And I remember when they were partnering her up for press, it was like she was always with Jennifer Hudson, or she was always with Daniel Brooks. She was always with somebody, as if she needed because no one knew. Like they were like, oh, introducing Cynthia Erivo, but like now, like people just weren't ready. We did not know. It was like surprise, gotcha. And then to watch the iconic Shugs like roll through, and I got to sing. I was singing backup for Heather Headley at some of her concerts at Lincoln Center. And this is before I was even in the company, because I joined towards the end after Daniel Brooks left. And I was just like, why is Heather Headley even in New York? When someone called me to asked me if I would sing backup for her. And they were like, oh, well, she's doing Shug Avery and Color Purple. And I was just like, oh, how iconic. Like the show was Yeah, it was just beautiful, and the simplicity of the set just really lended to the storytelling, and it was just kind of it kind of reminded me of Hadestown. I always say now that like I only do Broadway shows that have a single wooden set. That's all I'm interested in.
Love that. That's your fit. She's just
Yeah.
telling the story. She doesn't need the bells and whistles. She just needs a
No
story.
bells and whistles, no quick changes. Let's just tell the story.
Oh my gosh. And yeah, the impact of just the chairs and the wooden set, it just was so, I mean, you don't, the color purple is so impactful
Yeah.
already. And that's why I love what they did with that. They just like the story itself, that's what's gonna sell right there.
Yeah.
That's what you need.
We love a good story. And I was like, but even like when I was talking to like my family, and they're not Broadway people, so they were coming to see this to see Hadestown. I was like, oh, you guys are gonna like it more than Color Purple. And they're like, how do you like something more than Color Purple? And I was like, well, Color Purple was like an amazing like story of blackness, amazing story of like female empowerment, amazing story of family, of transcendent love, queer love, all these things. I was like, but Hadestown is a human story. It's like it literally just like encompasses everything. It's not, there are no limitations to the story that is the stories that are being told on this stage. And I was like, so I think it might trump Color Purple. Okay, don't quote me, but and then like when they got here, they were like, you were right. And I was like, yeah, I think these are the transcendent stories like this are the only things I'm really trying to do is these days as far as musical theater goes. I was like, maybe my mind will change, but I'm feeling very spoiled these days to be because it feels just so cathartic. You're standing there at the end of the show, like having like this huge human release. This is like on the verge of tears, or if not weeping every night. I don't know a lot of tap routines that are doing that on Broadway these days.
Right, and that's where it gets like, people like my grandmother would be like, "Oh, I want to see like fun musicals, that entertain." And it's like it's musical theater is more, the human experience. It's
Yeah.
more, it's not just, we love a jazz hand and all that, whatever. But
Yeah, it's
shows
not
like
just yada da 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 like, and also because like I promise you, we will bring you joy. I promise you, your heart will be full.
it does, true, and that's what even post pandemic, it's like, what are people willing to spend their like money? Even a lot of shows are struggling right now, and the shows that are not so like big and lavish and all that, like Kimberly Kimball after a year it's closing, so it's just a
Yeah.
very in like Stuffs right now. I work front of house at Stuffs, so like
Oh
even we're
yeah.
doing fine, but it's like, are we gonna run for a year? I don't know.
Yeah, nobody knows. Yeah, what's gonna last? And because they never thought that Hey Sound was gonna last, they call it the little engine that could. Like I didn't like because I remember I was in final callbacks for the original Broadway company when they were looking for swings. And I was just like, oh God, I really just want to be a part of the show. I think I really believe in this. And I was like, but will it last long enough for me to be a part of it? I feel like now we've broken in the top 100 longest running shows. We just passed like Sound of Music, and we just keep trucking along. But even when they were first replacing like some of the original company members, they were like, if Eva and Reeve leave, what is this show going to be? And will people come and see it? You know? How do we transform the show? How does it morph? Because we can't just keep trying to put the same, and that was, as much as the standard of musical theater is to just keep doing the same thing and trying to teach people to kind of duplicate the same kind of performance over and over again. I think that, really speaks to the artistry of Hadestown that they're letting people come in and really put their kind of artistic stamp on these roles. I think that's what makes it worth coming back to see again and again at the theater, is because you're seeing a different version of the story every time.
No, exactly. And I love, and everyone in that show is so different, apples and oranges, and that's what's so beautiful about it. Like, you don't have to be, and that's why there's such problems in the industry. It's like, oh, everyone's trying to be someone else. Like, no, you can't
Mm-hmm.
do what like Reeve Carney's done. They want a you know what I
Yeah.
mean? They want a Jordan Fit. They want someone new, that's never done it before. That's what makes it so magical. If everyone kept doing it the same or sounding the same, like, but that's in general in life, you
Right.
can't, you can be inspired by people, but like you need to bring your own walk in life into it.
Yeah. And that, but that always hasn't not that hasn't always been the popular trend, you know.
Mm.
A lot of people just want to see, a knockoff of Adina Menzel. Like they don't want to come to the theater and hear Elsa any other way.
And it's hard. It all comes down to the producers and the directors that are making those decisions. So I think that's a testament to Rachel Shafkin, who is just slaying.
Yeah, Rachel and the producers, Mara is our head producer over at Octopus Theatricals, and even like Keenan is our associate, because Rachel has clearly moved on to Lampika. She's currently dealing with Gatsby and everything like that. So Keenan is our associate director, and it's really lovely because he has his own kind of take on the show. Like, of course, he was working very closely with Rachel the entire time, but like he still has his own like little tweaks and quirks, that he prefers. The same way I do. Because I'm an understudy for Persephone, and I played Persephone on the tour. And my version of Persephone is not like any other version you've ever seen. And I think that's also because of the poetry of the music and the writing that Aeneas. There's so much room for interpretation in that poetry that you can just add your own human experience to it. And like, of course, we're all playing the same beats and we know what's happening in the story, but like, my experience of loss and love is very different than Amber Gray's, just based on life experience, on age, upbringing, all kinds of things.
And that's what's so beautiful about theater, bringing yourself to it. And that's
Yeah.
what I love, that you're getting this, especially in a commercial theater experience. You're getting like a underground theater, little indie experience.
Yes.
On the full scale, mama. Like that's
Yes. It's very special. We feel very lucky. I feel very spoiled. I'm like, wow, what do I do after this? How do you leave Hadestown? You don't. You'll be there. You're trapped in hell forever.
I'm left-handed, so I'll meet you there. But yeah, thank you for sharing that. That is so.
Of course.
Do you want to do like another like 15 minutes?
Yeah, sure. Whatever. I'm literally just walking around my house, like gently cleaning my baseboards, making a matcha,
I love you're like doing all your errands on the podcast. That's what you're doing. So I just love, I'm just on my Brita filter, making my Brita filter.
Yeah, just refilling my Brita, just dusting my media center. I mean, it's like one of the few days that we get to spend at home. I definitely have rehearsal tomorrow. I was supposed to go and play in the softball game this afternoon, but my glove did not come in time. So I said, you know what? Yeah, I'll just like keep your little butt at the house and wait for this call.
Fun. Those are so fun, the softball games.
Yes. And we won today. We beat Lion King. Okay.
Cheers to the softball league. And I love that everyone in the theater could do it, from front of house to crew. Yep. And they're not playing. This is serious business, the Broadway.
Very serious. We play in the 11:30 time slot if you want to come check us out on Thursdays in Central Park. Okay.
Bring a picnic, bring a sandwich.
Yes, bring your sunscreen, okay? Global warming is real. The sun is hot.
Brit West giving you some tips here. Oh my God. But since making all these wonderful artistic journeys happen for you, it's always not so glamorous. We're working survival jobs,
right?
Navigating the city. What was that like for you? And what year did you move to the city again?
I moved in 2006 because I went to college in Westchester. I went to SUNY Purchase, and so I went for the acting conservatory up there. And then I didn't stay in the conservatory, so I was back and forth to the city nonstop while I was finishing my degree in Westchester, which is like 30 miles north of Manhattan off the Metro North line. And then I was waiting tables while I was in school. I worked at the Cheesecake Factory, and I was an expo and a shift leader and a server. Did the whole like 2 weeks of classroom training before you do the floor training to learn that novel of a menu, that telenovela of a menu. And then I was cocktailing. I cocktailed on the Lower East Side at a place called The Back Room. It was a speakeasy. I helped open the second location of the Meatball Shop. I know Meatball Shop is kind of a chain now in New York City, but there were only 2 at the time. and I opened the Williamsburg location. It was nice because they were open super, super late. So it was like their closing girl. And I could, I could wait tables until 4 a.m. I'd be out of there by 5:36, go home, change, and go straight to auditions. My God, the youth, the energy. I can't say that I would be able to do that now, but I was like, I definitely think age has crept up on me. And then at a certain point, I decided I wanted to get a commercial agent and a voiceover agent and see if I could use commercial and voiceover as supplemental income, which I was able to. So that was really cool because, you book the gig and either it's a buyout or you get residuals. And but then I mean, I was touring kind of consistently for so long that survival jobs kind of just like fell by the wayside. And because I was thinking about this the other day, my friend who had just come off of their tour, and I was like, because what would you even do for a survival job now at age 35? Like, are you really trying to be on your feet for 12 hours straight? I mean, yeah, you'll do it for a tech rehearsal on Broadway, but like every day, just like to wait tables and to deal with the riffraff of America. I don't know. And she was saying she does like a lot of audiobooks and is more into like trying to like focus on voiceover gigs, and then she teaches a lot. And I mean, I've even started doing some supplemental teaching just because like people are like coming to see. There's this is the first time I think post pandemic that a lot of high school groups have been coming to New York City for their like spring breaks and stuff, and so it's been nice to be able to do like intensives with kids from around the country. That's been really cool. But yeah, I think that's the gist of it for me. I know a lot of people babysit and all of that stuff, but I was always more of like a service industry girly and then switched over to voiceovers and commercials.
And I think that's so important to know, like, hey, there's just so many waiters out there and bartenders like just hustling to try to like pay their rent. And it's kind of like soul crushing sometimes. You're like, this is not what I want to be doing. This is not what
Right.
I'm up every day to do. And I think that's okay to that's definitely really more than okay to say because
Yeah.
it's not
There
my
because there are also people who are professional waiters who are exceptional at their job. Like I could never be like on wait staff at a five-star like restaurant. That is not for me.
exactly. And there are people that are so incredible at it, like people that work at hotels or service industry, like,
Yes.
really, really top
Like
notch.
there are whole degrees in hospitality. I don't have one of those.
And that's, we're just trying to what we gotta do to get by.
Right.
Go to Trader Joe's, that's the all the good stuff
Yes, we
there.
love our Trader Joe's.
Gotta get the cookie butter, the frozen meals, you know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
we love a frozen meal starter kit. Okay,
Yes,
you
yes.
gotta, you gotta season her up. You gotta season her up and add a side salad. But
And there's so many that you could so many jobs in this realm of theater you could do. You could learn how to be a stage manager, or be on the crew if you're not in the show, or be a
right.
dresser. That's common to some actors, like will be dressers sometimes. And
Hmm.
it's a portable gift being an artist. You could do it anywhere, you know. Um, but I'm so glad you could talk about, the hardships of touring and what it does to your body and trying to take care of yourself, while trying to do your passion. This is different. This is a very it's very special when you love theater and want to do it so much. You'll
Right.
just try to do anything you can to break. And it's a really hard industry to break into, but it is so possible. It's just the in between time what you're doing, and even trying to go see theater, like getting those rush tickets and standing room to try to and
Oh
just
yeah, there's been so many nights where I'd be like, I would get off a meatball shop and I would go just stand in line. For some of the really popular shows where back in the day where you had to be there at like 6 a.m.
yeah.
Um, but I know they do a lot of online rush now, and then also just like the industry has just changed so much. Um, and it's really about like intake of knowledge. I think that, and like because nobody's going to give you anything, and I think that's one of the big things. Whenever I do these intensive with with like high school groups or whatever, when they come in and they're going to see Hadestown, and like it's like a meet the artist, and then we'll do like a music dance intensive or whatever. And if whenever we do the Q&A, and I was like, just take in as much life as you can. Like read everything, see everything, listen to everything, go rock climbing, even if you don't like to be outside, learn to swim, like live your life. You cannot accurately portray a full human being on stage if you've never lived your life. You have to take in, like consume as much as you can. I was like, that's what it's about. And that's what will honestly give you like the most authentic like portrayals for sure. And like and will just help you in the industry. I was like, and you have to put yourself out there, saturate the market, like especially while you have the energy and while you have the time. because it might not always be that way, you know. As you get older, like certain responsibilities start to pop up in your life. That can kind of sway your attention. So do it while you're young.
The 20s, baby. I love
Yes, the 20s. What I
one,
wouldn't
right?
give. Oh,
Especially
I was so carefree and full of energy.
you can still be that now. You're still carefree and just live
Yes, I told you I was making a matcha, now didn't I?
the spirit.
I'm gonna drink this. I'm gonna take a nap and then I'm gonna drink this matcha. Because basically, as you age, you just like, I feel like I'm turning back into a toddler. And I was like, but I've got a new trio. Like we've got like Kay Trinidad is back from her second maternity leave. She's original Fate 2. Jessie Shelton was the original Swing in Hadestown, and then she was Fate 1 in the post-pandemic reboot, and she's back in the Fate 1 slot. And we are just having the time of our lives. So if you could get down to the Walter Kerr to come see us, the Fate Trio will literally rock your world these days. So
Brit West will be performing with matcha in her system. And
yes, all three of us, lots of matcha in the system. Lots of matcha, lots of it's like giggles and evil. And we're like we're big glamorous fun bullies in 3-part harmony.
all from hell.
Yes.
I love, and to wrap it up, I know we were supposed to do the mantra in the beginning, the mantra, matcha
Oh
mantra.
yes, our matcha mantra.
So if you want to end it on that and share a little bit of that, because I loved what you.
Yes, I would say we were talking about mantras that you to live your life by, and this is definitely more of a performance kind of like professional mantra of mine, but I think I have really just put it on to my entire life, and it is show up and show out. It's about accountability, work ethic, and just always doing your best. So I was like, what is it? It's like the ancient Toltec wisdoms, right? That's like be impeccable with your word, always do your best, don't make assumptions. And what's the other one? Oh gosh, what's the fourth one?
Say what you mean what you say.
Say what you mean what you be impeccable with your word. That's be impeccable with your word. Don't make assumptions. Always do your best. And what's the fourth one?
Okay, let's look it up.
Look it up.
The 4 agreements, right? I'm Googling it
The
right
4
now.
agreements. The 4 agreements.
Not take anything personally. Always do your best. Do not take anything personally. Do not make assumptions, and always do your best.
It's the don't take anything personally, right? But I think mine is the show up and show out. That's the always do your best. I think that's where that one comes from. Just yeah, because a lot of people, I think, you know, doubt is a really huge thing, like self-doubt. And imposter syndrome is alive and well in the world. And I was like, all it takes is preparation and the courage to try. And I was like, and if you are just like really, if you're fully prepared and you have the courage to try, you're really going to do way better than most people, because most people didn't even bother to show up. So show up and show out. Get there and kill it. That's kind of how I just live my life, you know. I was like, every day when I show up to the theater, I was like, yeah, girl, we're here to show up and show out. All of my whole day's energy is committed to doing that 2.5 hours on that stage. And that's that.
And you could apply that to your life, not even just perform, but just showing
Yeah.
up like as a person, from mono to Fate.
Yes. Mono to Broadway magic, baby.
Broadway magic. Thank you for sharing that so much. Truly. So I didn't mean to, like, if I interrupted a few times, because my Wi-Fi is like so weird and like.
No, you're fine.
So
I was like, because you know, whenever you're doing like the Zoom, like it's not Zoom, I don't know what the streaming is, but it's like sometimes I feel like I'm talking over you, you're talking over me, and we're like, wait, what? Huh? Wait, what? Huh?
It's my ADHD brain, just so excited. Oh my gosh. And I have to come see you in Hadestown. I just have to take off a couple weeks.
Make it happen. I'll wait for a Persephone day, because I'll rock your world, man.
Oh yeah. I need that. Let me know if you have any scheduled dates. I know you're
I will.
Also, Brit West is really good at posting her Persephone dates. So follow.
I am at Brit_West. Brit with 1 T _ West, like the direction. Yeah.
Look to the left and cry. I remember this is gonna be a throwback. When I was a young little twink back in 2013, it was at Brain Dead Brit, and I.
Oh yes, it was. Yes, it was.
What the hell? How does he know that?
At Brain Dead Brit, yes. But then I got into The Color Purple on Broadway many, many years later, and people were having a hard time finding me. So I just switched it to my name.
She's alive and well. I love
She's
it.
alive and well. Yes.
Thank you again for your time, truly. I could literally talk to you all day. I feel like we need to like grab a drink soon and like really
Yes.
like,
You know where I am, my friend. I will see you soon. Thank you so much for having me.
big love, Britt. Have a good show tonight.
Thank you for joining Britt and I today. We had such a fun time recording this. Go ahead and go buy a ticket to see her and the fabulous Hadestown cast on the Broadway at the Walter Kerr Theater. Subscribe to my podcast at Overcome with Joe Shiro on Instagram, and subscribe to the show on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and on YouTube. You matter, always.